with the Secret Chicken Society. We have Daniel as the main character, Mrs. Lopez's teacher, Mr. and Mrs. G are the neighbors, Emmy is the sister, and then Jasper, Speedy, Mr. Feathers are all Daniel's pets. Kelsey is his sister, Tyler's his brother. And instead of just getting one little chicken from the class pet project, they ended up getting 5 of them. So they have Peepers, Twinkie, Primrose, Violet, and T-Rex. When we last left off, they were having some problems with the neighbors because the chickens got out and they were running around in Mr. G's yard. And he does not like that very much. So they decide they're going to make a chicken coop in the backyard. On Saturday, the weather cleared up. Daniel and Tyler helped Dad build the chicken coop. They used wire fencing and recycled lumber from the salvage yard. Although the hens were still too young to lay eggs, the coop had nesting boxes already. A ramp from the chicken run led up to the coop. The hens seemed to like their new home. Every day, Daniel scooped up a handful of oyster shells into the bucket. He knew the hens needed it to help them digest their food. I didn't know that. He added a handful of chicken pellets. He tossed in a handful of grain and leftover table scraps. He poured it into the food tray. "Here, chick, 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 chick," he called, and the hens would come running. On Saturday morning, a week later, the family gathered around the table for breakfast. Dad always made buttermilk pancakes on Saturday. The smell of the cooking pancakes filled the house. Suddenly, the phone rang. Mom answered. She talked for a little while and then hung up. "That was Miss Clay," she said. She looked sad. "She wanted us to know that Mrs. Gruffalo fell down the stairs last week. She broke her hip. Mr. Gruffalo had to take her to Willowdale Care Center." "Isn't that a place for old people?" asked Kelsey. "Well," Dad smiled, "Mrs. Gruffalo isn't young." "It must have been hard for Mrs. G to leave her home," said Mom. "I'll bet Mr. Gruffalo is worried and sad," said Dad. "And lonesome," said Mom. "Moving a loved one into a nursing home isn't an easy decision." She reached out and took Dad's hand and smiled. "Let's go visit," he said. "We can take her some of our fresh strawberries." After they ate, they did the dishes and fed the animals. Everyone piled into the car. Kelsey brought some oatmeal raisin cookies she had made with Dad's help. Emmy picked a bouquet of white daisies from the wildflower patch. Even Tyler brought his baseball card collection to show Mrs. G. "Wait a minute," said Daniel. "I know what would really cheer her up." He opened the chicken run. The hens scratched for bugs. Daniel scooped up peepers. He tucked her under his arm. "Daniel, you can't take a chicken into a nursing home," Mom said. "Why not? People take dogs. Therapy dogs. It's good for patients. Why not a therapy chicken?" Mom made a face, but she let him bring Peepers along anyway. Mrs. G sat in a wheelchair in the big room at Willowdale Care Center. She looked thinner than Daniel had remembered. Soft music played. The room smelled like boiled cabbage and cleaning stuff. Mrs. G's face lit up when she saw them. Mrs. G liked the strawberries. Oh, so ripe and delicious. As she ate one of Kelsey's cookies, she sniffed Emmy's slightly wilted bouquet. "I miss my garden," and she admired Tyler's baseball cards. But the hit of the day was Peepers. Daniel put her in Mrs. G's lap. She settled right down. "Bark, bark," she clucked softly. All the residents came over to see her. When their visit was over, Miss Benton, the director, walked the Millers to the door. "Thank you for bringing in Peepers," she said. "Our residents love animals. Many of them grew up on farms. We built this place in the country so they can have a vegetable garden and bird feeders." She pointed to the yard. A miniature barn sat empty. "Someday we hope to have animals, maybe a pet goat or a lamb," Mrs. Benton waved goodbye as they climbed into the car. "Please come again," she called, "and make sure you bring Peepers." The next Friday was the last day of school. Daniel said goodbye to Mrs. Lopez. "Have a great summer with your chickens," she said. She gave him his report card and a hug. "Oh, I will," Daniel grinned. Daniel's backpack bounced on his back as he raced home from the bus stop. He paused at the Gruffalo's house. He sure missed Miss G. Dot and Dash raced up the sidewalk looking for trouble. Their leashes dragged behind them as usual. Miss Clay was in hot pursuit. "Come back, boys," she yelled. The poodles didn't even look back. They just kept on going. That afternoon, Kelsey and Daniel sat in the house making plans. Emmy was too young to climb up to the treehouse. She sprawled on the grass underneath. Every now and then she flung a twig up, but she was too little to hit anything. They watched the hens. With Mom's permission, Daniel left the gate open so the chickens could forage in the yard, look for food. "Keep an eye on them," said Mom. "Don't let them get into Mr. G's garden again." Now they lay on their stomachs in the treehouse, looking over the edge. They watched the flock below. "Summer vacation. Boy, oh boy," said Kelsey. "I'm going to teach Primrose to do some tricks. We could have a traveling circus. A chicken circus." "I'm going to start an egg business," said Daniel. "Let's see, we have 5 hens, and if each hen lays 1 egg a day, 7 days a week, one egg per chicken." He wrote on his palm with a twig. "That is 35 eggs a week. I'll be rich." See, boys and girls, we have to use math all the time. "I'm going to fix up the old red wagon and give Twinkie and T-Rex rides," said Emmy. "Hey," said Kelsey, "maybe we can teach the chickens to pull it. Maybe we could even build a pond and a diving board. We can teach them to do high dives. People would pay lots of money to see that, I'll bet. And we could start a chicken club. We could join 4-H, we have that around here, and enter the chickens in the county fair. I'll bet they'd win lots of blue ribbons. There can't be any prettier chickens than ours." Daniel gazed proudly at the flock. Primrose strutted through the backyard. Her white top knot quivered with every step. She stopped to scratch the dirt, kicking her foot out behind her. With a pleased cluck, she hunted for slugs. Violet, the big gray hen, spotted a grasshopper. She cocked her head. First she peered with one eye, and then with the other. The grasshopper hopped. Violet squawked, and Daniel chuckled. Twinkie and T-Rex stood at the water dish. Twinkie dipped her beak into the water. She put her head back to let it trickle down her throat. Then T-Rex dipped her beak. Up and down they went, like the old-fashioned drinking bird toy Mrs. G kept on her windowsill. Daniel thought Peepers was the prettiest. Even though she was the smallest chicken, her red comb was the biggest. Her long, curly tail feathers shone. As Daniel admired her, Peepers flew up to the roof of the chicken coop. She perched, she flapped her wings, she stretched her neck. "Arr, arr," she croaked. "What's she doing?" asked Emmy. "Arr, she's trying to crow," said Kelsey. "Look, Daniel, she thinks she's a rooster." But Daniel stared at his pet. A horrible fear formed in his mind. His heart dived into his shoes. He slapped his forehead. "How could I have been so stupid?" he said. "How could I have been so blind?" He turned to Kelsey. "Some vet I'll make. I can't even tell a rooster from a hen." "What do you mean?" Kelsey asked. He pointed to Peepers. She looked pleased with herself. Peepers, she isn't a hen. He is a rooster. We should have known. That's why he has a bigger comb. That's why he bosses all the other chickens around. That's why, he is starting to crow. Peepers is a rooster." Peepers cocked his head at them as if to say, "I've got it now, fellas." He stretched out his neck again and crowed and crowed and crowed. And if you remember what Mom said about having a rooster, this is not going to be good. Chapter 8, Pinky Promise. "This is terrible," said Daniel as he watched Peepers crow. "Why? Now we can have baby chicks." "Roosters are illegal. If Mr. Gruffalo finds out, he'll call the police." "Will they lock Peepers in jail?" asked Emmy. "Worse," said Daniel. "We've got to save him. We've got to protect him." "I know. We can disguise him," said Kelsey. "We'll put a pink bow on him. Then everyone will think that he's a girl chicken," said Emmy. "We need a chicken club," Kelsey sat up. The hens scratched for worms in the dirt. Peepers stood on top of the hen house, alert and tall, watching for danger. "A club? You and your old clubs," Daniel said. "We've got real problems, big problems. If the neighbors complain, the police will take Peepers away. What would a club do? Keep peepers a secret, said Kelsey. A secret club for keeping secrets. Well, I want to be in the club too, said Emmy. Daniel stood up so suddenly the treehouse rocked. Wait a minute, that might work. But not a secret club, a secret society. The Secret Chicken Society. With passwords and secret handshakes and maybe even a secret code, said Kelsey. Daniel nodded. The Secret Chicken Society. Aha, that's where we get the name of the book. Mission of the Chicken Society is to keep peepers a secret, so nobody will find out that he is a rooster, and nobody will come and take him away. We have to take an oath, a secret oath, a double secret oath, a blood vow, said Daniel. We can't use blood anymore, Mom said. Kelsey reminded him. How about a spit promise then? Ew, said Emmy. That's gross. I'm not doing spit or blood. Okay. How about a pinky swear? Daniel sighed. It was hard to take a double secret oath without blood or spitting or swearing. Okay, how about a pinky promise? Kelsey nodded. She held out her hand and hooked pinky fingers with Daniel. Repeat after me, said Daniel. I solemnly swear. You mean promise, Kelsey said. Daniel started over. I solemnly promise. Wait, yelled Emmy from beneath the tree. I want to be a secret chicken too. Daniel sighed again. He and Kelsey climbed down. Daniel and Kelsey hooked pinkies. Emmy slid her little finger on top of theirs. Repeat after me, Daniel began. I solemnly swear. No, promise, said Kelsey and Emmy together. I solemnly promise. Hey, said Tyler. He came out the back door. His hair was rumpled. What you guys doing? A pinky swear? Pinky promise, yelled Daniel, Kelsey, and Emmy. Daniel and Kelsey traded glances. We're going to have to tell him because he'll find out soon enough. Okay, but you have to promise not to tell, Tyler. Tell what? So Daniel explained, with the help from Kelsey, about Peepers being a rooster, about Mr. Gruffalo threatening to call the police, about the Secret Chicken Society dedicated to keeping Peepers a secret. Tyler shook his head when they were done. This is never going to work, he said. Well, you don't have to be in the Secret Chicken Club if you don't want to, said Daniel, but you still can't tell. Tyler hooked his pinky with Daniel's and Kelsey. Emmy put hers on top again. They promised to keep Peepers a secret. But how were they going to do that? We will stop